Salama Bena Zulu Bena Congo. Dr. Luyaluka is back, ladies and gentlemen, and we will discuss today how to fight witchcraft. So if you have asked yourself, how can I deal with witchcraft? And how can I fight witchcraft? From Christianity, many of us come from the background of Christianity, and we know how we fight witchcraft in church. But what is the Bantu way, the Bukongo way to fight witchcraft, to battle witchcraft, to arm yourself and to shield yourself against witchcraft? And what is witchcraft? That's a good question. So yes, those are all things that we will discuss. And I'm here with Dr. Luyaluka. I'll bring him to join us. Dr. Luyaluka.
Yes, Nabi Kefas. Mbote kia mbote kiaku.
Ingeta. Nzambe apambula.
Malao mingi.
How have you been, doctor?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you, Nabi. I'm fine.
Oh, wonderful. Many people, they send me messages, even on in the chat when I'm live on YouTube, asking me, "Hey, when are you bringing Dr. Luyaluka back? We love to hear from him again." But they didn't know that we already had planned a conversation for today.
Oh, that's good.
So it's good to know that people love your knowledge, the love, the revelations that you're sharing. And I hope that they will enjoy also this episode, as we will have conversation discussing our topic, how to fight witchcraft.
Yes.
So, Dr. Luyaluka, I will share my screen so that we can read something about what Europeans say about witchcraft. Yeah. So, and then we go from there. So I think you can see the screen. Now, this is the dictionary, online dictionary, just on Google. Witchcraft, the practice of magic, especially for evil purposes. The use of spells. Children and goods were believed to be vulnerable to the witchcraft of jealous neighbors. And it's according to the European understanding of witchcraft. And similarity or the synonym is sorcery, black magic, necromancy, voodoo, hoodoo, wizardry, divination, Wicca, white magic, natural magic, makutu, so on and so on. And then we have this one from the Bible. Now, that is the definition from the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Witchcraft. So let me enlarge a little bit. Witchcraft. So it's a craft, right? And craft is something you learn, something you develop, something you acquire the skills and knowledge of. So it's a craft. Meaning and use of the words, biblical, etc. One, meaning and use of the word. The word witch seems to denote etymologically one that knows. Wow. That's interesting, right? Because you talk about, as a Bantu Congo, we know that that word knows is ndoki. It is historically both masculine and feminine. Indeed, the Anglo-Saxon form Wicca. That's what they practice nowadays in Europe, to which the English word is to be traced, is masculine alone. let's go to the second point here, the biblical use. Since the idea we attach to witch and witchcraft were unknown in Bible times, the words have no right place in our English Bible, and this has been recognized to some extent, but not completely by the revivers of 1884. The word witch occurs twice in the King James Version, namely in Exodus 22:18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch, the Revised Version, British and American, a sorceress to live.
Yes.
So it only appears twice in the Bible, witch. Second, in the book of Deuteronomy 18, verse 10, or a witch, the magical article. Okay, shall we continue? No, I think that's enough. And here
Yes, of course.
we also see divination, the witch of Endor, right? Are you familiar with the witch of Endor? It's the story of King Saul, who wanted to contact his teacher, his mentor, his spiritual father, who died. So he went to this so-called witch to speak with his deceased father. Now, that's what the Europeans have written down concerning witchcraft. It appears twice in the Bible in that form, witch, and it's also a craft. It is synonymous with magic, sorcery. We see voodoo, hoodoo, white magic, divination. And interesting, here they say it deals with one that knows, that possesses knowledge. So, Dr. Luyaluka, we have read some definitions of what Europeans say about witchcraft. How would you define witchcraft?
From the perspective of the white people, I will say that witchcraft is mainly black magic. It is a practice. It is essentially a naval practice used in order to destroy, to kill, to steal. And as I've seen with the first definition that we read, it is the use of evil spirits. So I take witchcraft to be essentially a naval craft. That is my starting point of view. It is essentially a naval craft. And that's also what I learned from the ancient initiatory, Congo initiatory schools. We are told that the sessions of Kimpasi, the sessions of Lemba, the sessions of Kinkima were organized in order to fight witchcraft. So my starting point is that it is essentially a negative craft which is used in order to disturb society. And that's my starting point. So this has to be made clear first. But speaking this way may upset many people. So we have to distinguish two paradigms as we deal with witchcraft. There is the paradigm of the Vodun of Benin and the Congo paradigm. Those are two essential paradigms that I use in the study of witchcraft. Of course, there are others, but I think they are only the enter in the spectrum that is constituted by these two poles, the Congo conception and the Vodou conception. In the Vodou conception, Witchcraft is understood as being a power that can be used for good or for evil. I don't totally agree with this. I think that Black people who are in voodoo are trying to redefine the concept of witchcraft because the power they use is called Aze, and that Aze is a human power because it can be used for good or for evil. So I use the Congo paradigm because it can explain the full paradigm, but the reverse is not possible. So I take witchcraft to be essentially a negative craft, man. But we will be explaining during this conversation why in voodoo it is understood has to be something good. So that's what I can preliminarily say about this subject.
So in voodoo, they use human power as it.
Yes, I must say this. This is something that needs to be understood by the Black people. We have two kind of practices of African traditional religion: the divine practice and the human practice. Those are two different practices, but working in synergy in order to elevate the civilization. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to understand these two kind of practices. In the divine practice, the purpose of the initiate is, first of all, to regain his divine nature as a child of God and Osiris, something he has lost due to his original bad use of his God-given free will. That is the first objective. And you have this even in the Bible in First John chapter 3, verse 1 to 3, where it is said that we are children of God, but what we shall be has not yet been manifested. What we shall be is that we shall be children of God in a manifest way, because we are so now in a potential way. And the condition for us to bring that manifestation is the purification of thought. That is the divine practice. That
Mm.
is the fundamental objective. The second objective of the divine practice is to develop a power through the purification of thought. It can be a power of telekinesis, it can be the power of teleportation, it can be the power of. I've been doing some field work, some agricultural work in an area, and they told me, we have a man here who works like he's working with 5 people, but he's alone. And everybody knows that he was his knowledge, ancestral knowledge, in order to do this. So it is okay. We are going to speak about this. So they develop a power that will be perpetuated as a human power. As a divine power, it can be used only for good because it is obtained through
Mm.
purification of thought.
Mm-mm-mm.
But has a human power, it can be used for good or for evil. And the last point that initiate of the divine practice does is to fight witchcraft for the means of love. So we are going to use that paradigm, how to fight witchcraft for the means of love. So in the human practice, you have the use of a power originally developed in the divine practice, that is through the purification of thoughts, and transmitted through faith in the ancestors. And we have different ancestors acting here. In the divine practice, you have what we call in the Congo Bakulu Bamaza, that is the ancestors
Of
who
the water.
abide in a word of purity, which
Mm.
is symbolized by water.
Mm-hmm.
In the human practice, We have the Bakulubanteke, that is the ancestors who animates nature. They can also be in water, but they are not. They are only animating that water, like the Simbi. You have the Simbi in Asian Voodoo, but those are not the holy ancestors. So you have two kinds of spirits acting here. In the divine, we have the holy one, and at the human, we have the human one, or those who animate nature. And as I said, the power developed in the human practice can be used for good or for evil. The other difference between both is that in the divine practice enters the concept of the commandments of God. When I speak about commandments of God, some timid will tell me, "Oh, you are speaking about something that was brought by the white people." I say, "No, the commandments of God was known by our people." The Congo people, the Egyptian in the Egyptian book of the dead, they make a mention of 42 commandments of God. In book Congo, but the Congo religion, the commandments of God were called Congo by the Yombe people. So they could not call it Congo if it were brought by the white people. By calling the commandments of God Congo, like the nation, they mean that the laws of God were foundational to their civilization. It was the basis of the Congo culture. So the commandments of God were known. Now, in the human practice, we don't have the notion of the commandments. We don't even have the notion of sin. We have the notion of ethics, which ethics is also contextual. It depends on circumstances. So we have two different kinds of practices, the human and the divine. In my academy, I teach the divine practice because that is the cornerstone of our civilization. Of course, it cannot be it cannot be alone. It must work in synergy with the human. But we have to understand that there are two kinds of practices because what we often see around are the human practices. So the divine practices seems to be not seen by people.
So that may explain what the European call white and black magic.
White and black magic, you see them in the context of the human. Why? Because
Okay.
the human practice can be used for evil or for good. It is a double-edged knife.
Double-edged sword.
Yes. But the evil use was forbidden. It was forbidden. The evil use, which can be called witchcraft, was an exceptional use in the case of war. How ancestors in the case of war will use even witchcraft in order to fight the enemy. You see, well, some people will say, "Ah, that means that witchcraft is good." No, stealing is bad. Robbery is bad. We all know this. You don't have to steal. But if a soldier can go and steal the plan of the enemy to allow our army to win, that is good. But that use of robbery is an exceptional one. It is not the general rule. And how people must understand this. In the martial academy, in the martial context, and the voodoo is a martial context, like the Tinkimba among the Congo people. In the martial context, witchcraft was exceptionally used in case of war in order to fight the enemy. It was one of the weapons of war. That is an exception. But in the general rule, witchcraft must be must be fought in society. We must fight against it.
Let me ask you a question. So, in a situation of war, where one must use the negative force of witchcraft, right? The human force in a negative way. Now, after war, what is the ritual to cleanse oneself from those negative effects?
No, they don't have to cleanse themselves for something. They did kill in order to protect their population.
Yes.
So what they did is good. So they don't have to kill themselves because what they did is good. Because they did protect their population. That is good. But if they use the same power in order to disturb society, that will be an evil.
But
So
Dr. Luyaluka,
yes,
many people think that warfare is a combat of between physical people, right? When we fight, we are fighting a physical fight. But as you now explain, combat is both physical and spiritual.
Yes.
Is that the case?
Yes, of course. We are supposed to use all our weapons in order to win in war. I'm going to give you just a little example. Someone called me and he told me, Dr. Yaluka, what you said in the year 2002, there are people who are understanding this just now. So you were in advance. You have accomplished your mission. You can go in peace. I tell, wait a moment. You're telling me to go where? I said, I made a mistake. No, he didn't make a mistake. He was trying to kill me first mentally by having me accept that I can go. By the time I accept this, I'm mentally killed. And then they can kill me physically. If you examine the life of big leaders like Thomas Sankara, Marian Dwabi, Laurent Desire Kabila, Lumumba, you will realize this. They were mentally killed before being physically killed. They mentally accepted that they were going to die. And then they were killed. So the mental process is something that is used even in war.
Yeah, that's right. And we know that the true reality is spiritual. So everything comes from the metaphysical realm. So when you speak words, those words have the power to manifest in the physical realm, to have an effect. Yes, in the physical realm. So even in warfare, one can use the human power yes, to fight the enemy, both physical and spiritual. So we have two kinds. We have the divine kind. Yes.
The divine practice.
The divine practice.
Traditional religion and the human
and the human practice.
African traditional religion. What is usually seen around is the human practice of African traditional religion. You have the divine practice in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. That book is about the divine practice. And you have also the divine practice in Bukongo. Bukongo has taught by my Academy. So aside from that, usually what we see around are the human practices of African traditional religion. And it is very important to understand this in order not to confuse people, in order not to say, oh, there is no religion in Africa, there is only spirituality. Oh, no, how can you live spirituality without the teachings of religion, which is impossible?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes.
We
Because
have a religion in Africa, and that religion is an exact science. And that's what we
yes.
demonstrate.
So the word religion comes from the Latin religare, and it means to rebind.
Yes.
So how
Yes.
can we fit that into Congo traditional spirituality? Yeah? The
You
word
have first
rebind.
to you have first to know that those Greeks were students of our ancestor in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
So possibly what they were describing was something they did learn in ancient Egypt. Now, at, at the celestial level, we have realities. We
Three.
have God, the Most High,
Yes.
and we have His children, the children of God. And we have the manifestation of the wholeness of God in each one of them. And that manifestation of the wholeness of God, of the fullness of God, we call the Logos. So we have three realities. Man has, no, the child of God has in him the Logos, which is the manifestation of the fullness of God. That presence of the Logos in him establishes a link between him and the divine. As long as the free will given to him by God is preserved, by as far as it is good used, the link remains. By the time a child of God misuse his free will, he falls in darkness. The divine in him become a mere potentiality, which means that there is a break where there were a link before. So the notion of the link is there. The link is the presence of the divinity in us. And all the essential of the divine practice of religion is how to make that link become manifest.
Mm-hmm. So we
How
can
to become,
understand.
yes, we can
So,
understand that notion within the context of our religion.
mm-hmm. So the word religare, which means to rebind, can actually allude to the practice of the divine sanctification of thought, where you are reconnecting or rebinding yourself with the divine, as you said,
Yes,
to reach that um, elevation to become an Ausar.
yes, Osiris,
Yeah, but
yes,
Ausar
yes,
in Greek, Osiris.
yes.
Isn't that an Egyptian god?
No, it is not a god as such in Egypt, it is a state.
Mm-hmm.
It is the state of being a child of God. So we are working in order to become back what we have been before, a child of God in Osiris. It is that state. But people will say, oh, but the one who will judge you and me after our death is Osiris. Yes, of course. But that means that you and I are working in order to bring that divine nature out. And the one who will judge us is the nearer ancestor who manifests more of that divine nature. So he is for us an Osiris. But it doesn't mean that he has fully attained that nature. He is also growing. But in comparison to us, he is an Osiris, so he will judge us. So Osiris is not a single being. No. Osiris is a state that you and I strive to express. And that there are people who are already expressing it more than us. So in comparison to us, they are Osiris.
From
So it is
biblical
not,
perspective,
yes.
we are told to work out our salvation.
Mhm.
But that statement actually alludes to one who has to work and progress for the re-attainment of his divine nature. Yeah, that's the
Mhm.
salvation, according to the
Yes.
ancient, according to Bukongo. Yeah.
According even to the Egyptian.
Yes, that's what I mean with the ancient, the Egyptians, and according to Bukongo. Now, in Egypt, you have this trinity of Ausar, Aset, and Heru. So, if you're talking about we have to regain our divinity and become an Ausar, so how do we condone it with the trinity of Egypt in Ausar, Aset, and Heru?
That trinity is symbolical. In that trinity, you have three symbols. You have Osir, you have his female compound, which make Osiris and Isis. I don't master the Egyptian name as you do. And then come Horus. So you have God, the Logos, which is when the male and the female are combined, we have the Logos. You have God, you have the Logos, and you have the children of God. That is what the Trinity means. It is the unity of the Father, Mother, the unity of the Logos, and the child of God. That is Trinity. And in Bukongo, they will tell you the unity of Bandun, Saku, and Zinga. It is the same. Nsaku stands for the revelations of God, representative of God. And Bantu stands for representative of the creative power, that is representative of the creator, Bumbalowa. And then Zinga, the government, stands for representative of the Logos. So that is Trinity. What we have it depicted in Egypt has a male and a female and a son is symbolical.
Mm-hmm. So in our Sar, Aset, Heru, in the Bukongo, we can find Saku, Zinga, and
Yes.
the third
Yes.
one is
Nsaku,
Saku.
Panzu, and Zinga.
Exactly, Saku, Panzu, and Zinga.
Zinga,
Okay?
yes.
And that's what we
It is
can
this.
see in Ausar, Aset, and Heru. It's the same
Yes,
principles.
the same principle.
Mm-hmm.
Osar is the father, mother, what is representative of God. The conjunction of Osar and his compound female nature, the two represent the Logos. When the male and the female are combined, it is the Logos. And then
Mm-hmm.
comes the
So
child
the
of God,
fusion.
represented as Horus.
So you're
The
talking about the
fusion of the
fusion of
fusion of
Ausar
the male and female makes
that
the
produce the
expression of
logos.
the Logos. Yes.
Right.
So we have that three
Yes, because
elements:
the
God,
fusion.
Father, Mother,
Uh-huh.
the Logos, and the child of God.
Yeah, because the fusion of the feminine and masculine energies gives birth to the son, and that is Heru,
If,
the logos.
if you take the Voodoo of Benin, for example, they will speak to you of Nana Buluku as being the most high God, or Se. He has two names, Nana Buluku or Se. And then they will speak about the creator who they call mahulisa. Now, you have the impression that the notion of the logos doesn't appear there. Yes, it is there. Because you have Nanabuluko, who is the Most High God, and we have the creator, Naulisa. Now, Maulisa is male and female. Mau is the male, Lisa is the female. So that conjunction of the male and the female means that there is the logos working in Maulisa. So you have the Trinity already there. You have God, the Most High, you have the Creator, and you have the Logos in Him.
So the notion of a Trinity is found all over Bantu traditions.
Not only Bantu tradition, it is fundamental to the African spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Because that notion of the Trinity in its working, I used to explain its working as someone who is in front of the mirror. When you move, your image moves thanks to the power of the reflection of the mirror. Now, the logos is the power of the reflection of our divine nature.
Mm-hmm.
So when we act, it's in reality God acting in us through the logos. And that is very important. It means that I can block an evil action against me. When someone wants to act in an evil manner against me, I can realize that it is actually God who works in him through the Logos. So he can behave only in a good way against me. And that will change the situation. I remember once our teacher of philosophy called me and said, Kefas, you've got two under 20. People in the class told me that is abnormal. They knew that I was the best in the class of philosophy. And they told me, he cannot give you two. You have to discuss. I said, no, I'm not going to discuss with her. I choose to pray by realizing the power of Trinity. I realized that it is God who works in him through the Logos. So he can do only good to me, not evil. So I refuse to accept that I have failed. I knew that God will not do me evil through him. And through him, God is working for my good. As it is said in Romans 28, that everything works for good for those who love God. So I maintained this. A few days later, he called me and he said, "Okay, I've raised your mark. You have not 8 in the exam. I got 12, so I succeeded in that course. And when I graduated, so it is a power trinity. It is a working law that we can use in order to fight even witchcraft."
Mm-hmm. Okay. So in the divine practice, the fundamental is based in love. And in the human... Mm-hmm.
The fundamental in the divine practice is obedience to God's law, that is love.
Mm-hmm.
It is purification of thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
It is fighting sin. That is different from the human practice. In the human practice, you don't have the commandments of God. You have ethics. But that ethic is contextual.
Yes.
Let me give you an example. If someone goes to a mambo or an initiate of voodoo, and he said that someone has done a wrong to me, I want you to retaliate or to kill that, to do something to harm that person. If he does it, he will not feel responsible for that act because he will say it is the one who asked me to do who is responsible for
But
that
he's
act.
complicit.
That's how it works. That's how the ethics works on that situation. He doesn't feel guilty because the blood of that person will fall on you who came to him. So you see, it is different
So
from the
there is
divine
no
practice.
spiritual consequence for him at all.
No, because he's covered by that by ethics. He's
No,
covered.
that ain't right.
It is a consensus that is medically accepted by people. Now, I say it is a consensus. It means that if I were on the divine plan, I can break that and bring punishment even to him because I'm working on a higher law. So they are working on a lower law. That's what I mean. A contextual ethics.
Okay. Now, the spiritual world is very complex. It's all
Very
governed
complex.
by specific laws.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
So the one
if you understand those laws, you can break them by working from a higher law.
Right. Now, you said something. The divine practice is connected with the Bankulu Bamaza.
Yes.
And the human practice is connected with the Bankulu Baseke.
Yes.
So the divine Bankulu Bamaza, they are represented by water, which signifies purity. And so those who have become illuminated Holy Spirits. I can say it like that. And in the human practice, they are connecting with ancestral spirits who govern nature. Is that right?
Bankulu Banseke. Yes, that's right. That's right. So it is
those are
two different
spirits of ancestors who have died,
yes,
but they roam around the nature.
They are in nature. They are in nature, but not only that, not only the ancestor who died. Anything in nature is governed by the spirits.
Yes, I believe that.
What you call the qualities of a tree are in reality the spirits abiding in that tree. And you can use those spirits in order to bring a positive result in society.
Yes. It's difficult if you live in a city, right? When you have less trees and less nature.
So there is a spirit, there are spirits working in nature. And in the human practice, they use those spirits in order to heal. And it might be general spirit, it can also be ancestors who abide in those in nature.
Yes.
And those are called the Kulubanseke or Bisimbi Yanseke.
Bisimbi Yaseke.
Yes.
Yeah. Everything in the universe exists from a force. The creator, the Tanzania, Pungutulendo, Bumbaloa, the Most High is a force by himself. So
yes,
the universe inherited portions of that force to is a being of force, and everything in the cosmos, everything in nature possesses an inheritance, in some level, an inheritance of that universal force, yes, of the supreme being. Therefore, in nature, as we are created from nature, everything we need to sustain our body or to heal our body and to control our environment is also found in nature. So it's very interesting to
Yes.
say that even in
Yes.
trees, they live a spirit, right, that controls the tree, and we can take from the tree for our health and for our improvement, because everything, according to Bantu philosophy and spirituality, everything in the universe possesses a force.
Yes. Yes. And that force, it is in reality spirits
A spirit.
acting in it.
Kisi.
Yes.
So Kisi is not evil, Dr. Luyaluka.
No, Nkisi is not evil. Nkisi is not fetish. Nkisi means power. Nkisi means spirits. That is the best definition of Nkisi. Nkisi means spirits, means power.
Yes.
But that power we can use in order to bring good results in society. And the highest Nkisi is God himself.
It's
That's
God
why we
himself.
call him Mpungu. Mpungu and Nkisi are synonymous.
Yeah. Now, in amongst the Congo people, there is much fear for the word Kisi. Yes. Now,
Yes.
witchcraft amongst the Bakongo, it's commonly known as Kindoki. Yeah. Kindoki. So when something happens in the family, on sudden death, sickness, or some calamity, most of the time they will say, Kindoki. Yes, and when someone dies out of mysterious circumstances, they can say Baliye Nabutu. So they have eaten him in the night. That is to say that he died through witchcraft.
Yeah.
Now, how can we understand Kindoki, yes, in contrast with witchcraft, which is the negative use of the human kisi?
First of all, we have to learn that according to history, when the Portuguese reached the kingdom of Congo, and they were trying to introduce the new concept, they came in, the concept of religion, their concept of religion. The black people didn't know about the word religion. So they tried to find a similar concept in their culture. And they came with this following answer. And they said to the white people, what you people call religion is what we call PC. And that was understood by the white people because in the first book they published in 1624, a catechism that was published in Madeira in Portugal. They were calling the church Nzo Ankisi instead of Nzo Anzambi. So they were calling religion Nkisi. So they understood the concept as it was explained by black people. But what intervened was that those missionaries were not dealing only good with white people, they were also involved in slavery, in stealing our goods. And eventually, Impavita came in order to put back order. Impavita didn't deny Christianity, but she understood that there is a common area which is shared by both religions. It is essentially the same religion. So he was teaching Christianity according to the Congo culture. And he had a huge support of Congo people with was seen by the white people as a threat to their mission. So from the time they began to devilish every notion of African spirituality. And Kindoki, which originally meant the mystery knowledge, was now called witchcraft. And we have to reestablish the true concept of Kindoki. Kindoki is the knowledge that allows you to acquire power. If you are an engineer, what you have learned at school is a Kindoki, human Kindoki, because the same science of engineering, you can use it to do good or to do evil. If you are a pastor like Nabi Kefa, what you have learned is the divine Kindoki. It is how to help people through their purity, through your purity and theirs. So Kindoki means knowledge. That knowledge can be divine, it can be also human. The demonic was not taught, it was false in our society. Only the divine and the human were taught. That is Kindoki. What I teach is the divine Kindoki. What I learned at the School of Architecture is a human Kindoki. Now, witchcraft can be defined as the misuse of the human Kindoki.
Okay. Now, the big question.
Yes.
How do we fight against witchcraft in our lives?
In order to answer that question, we have first to ask ourselves the following question. How does witchcraft act in our life? Witchcraft acts through the means, first of all, of evil spirits. We have to understand that point first. It acts thanks to evil spirits. It's the use of evil spirits. Second point, in order to act, the witch must distract you. If you are focused on your divine nature, you are in a spiritual consciousness, he cannot act against you. So he must defocus you through the means of charm, also the means of domination. They must bring you out of your vigilance in order to act. That is the second thing. The third thing is that witchcraft acts through evil suggestion. They suggest when that man came to me and said, "Oh, Dr. Luyaluka, you have accomplished your mission, you can go now." He was suggesting me to die, to accept to die. That was the way of working of witchcraft. That's why in divine spirituality, we say that evil is always a suggestion, whatever be its nature, whatever be its duration. The evil you are fighting is an outward suggestion coming to you. It is not something in you, because in you abide the Logos, the fullness of God. So witchcraft is a suggestion. Witchcraft evil is a suggestion coming to you. That's why you can heal through mental, spiritual means, because evil is just false mentality. So, by the way we understand this, we can now answer the question how to fight witchcraft. Let me recapitulate. Witchcraft works through evil spirits. In order to act, the witch must defocus you by charm or domination, bring you out of your concentration on the divine. And third, witchcraft acts through evil suggestions. So how do we fight witchcraft? First of all, we have to understand. I said that Trinity is a law. Trinity is a power. So we have to know that according to divine Trinity, it is actually the Spirit of God alone which acts in that person, in the so-called witch. If we understand this, it means that we break the false power, the false spirit trying to work in him. We use the law of Trinity by understanding that it is the divine spirit, God, who actually works in the so-called witch. So he cannot do us evil. That's what I did when the teacher of philosophy gave me 2 under 20. I said, no, you cannot behave like that because it's only the Spirit of God which acts in him. So I broke that witchcraft trying to work in him. And eventually he raised my quotation. So that is the first point. The second point, we have to realize, we have to affirm mentally that God is the only soul, our only consciousness, the divine consciousness. And that consciousness is always awake to the truth. Whether we be asleep or awake, the divine consciousness in us is always awake and protecting us. That is what is called in ancient ages the doctrine of the immortality of the soul. And it was foundational to the epistemology of of the people of Kemet. And it is very important to understand this. And then we have to affirm the first point that it is only God who thinks in us and in the so-called witch. So they cannot send us evil thoughts. By the time we affirm those 3 things, we have destroyed the power of witchcraft. But we didn't quench witchcraft. In order to quench that activity, we have to add a fourth process. That is what we call warning. And that is what our ancestors used to call loco. Now, loco doesn't mean it comes from loca. It doesn't mean to bedevil someone or to curse. No, loca means to warn someone. When your child doesn't do his homework, you will warn him and tell him, if you don't do your homework, you cannot succeed. You are not cursing the child. You are blessing the child. You are expressing love toward him. So warning is expression of love. It is asking God, asking our ancestors to open the eyes of the so-called witch, that he might understand that the evil he's trying to do unto me can only react against himself and leads him to death.
This is the complete opposite of what Christianity has taught, especially if you are coming from the Pentecostal church, evangelical church, Iglesia Bareve, where they say you have to kick the devil, you have to send nuclear missiles through your prayers against your enemies, you have to bind them, right? Sans effet, call upon the blood of Jesus. None of that. You haven't mentioned none of that.
That is witchcraft.
That's witchcraft.
Yes. They don't know that they
No,
are using
no.
witchcraft.
Dr.
You are
Luyaluka.
you are asking God to kill one of his son, one of his
Mm,
child. Will you do that if I ask you that your child did this to me, kill him? Humanly, you will not do that. What are you asking God to do the
mm.
same? No,
Uh,
the
Dr.
better
Luyaluka,
approach.
are you not
I,
being weak? Are you not being weak? As someone is doing witchcraft on you, sending sickness and all kinds of calamities, and you just pray the goodness of the Creator in them, and
let
you
me
and
let,
you give
let
them a warning, but you don't fight back spiritually. Isn't that
don't
weakness?
let me give you an example. I know a young man. It is not weakness. It is the practice of love, and
Mm-hmm.
love is a power. Love is more powerful than witchcraft. A young man was living with his cousin in the same house. But what happened was that every night that cousin will practice against him. He will send him evil thoughts and he will see himself being attacked in his dream. So he will awake and realize that his cousin was just outside of the door of his room, concentrating on him. And then he used the warning. He prayed that that cousin might know that what he thinks he's doing to him is doing to himself. And what happened was that the person ceased to do his malpractice, and the situation was resolved. So it wasn't weakness, it was power.
Mm.
Now, what will come if that cousin didn't cease? That which will come will be death. To him, he will die, but he will not die due to the prayer. He will die due to the fact that he didn't abandon his evil
Mm.
craft.
So,
And that is a power, not
yeah,
weakness.
I understand, but I have to ask those questions for the viewers because many viewers will have that question, right?
Yes, yes, of course, I do
So
understand.
that's why I ask, because many are coming from the background of church, by Iglesia, by Réveil and things like that. So they were taught to pray in that manner, to attack. When the enemy attacks you, you have to attack back in the name of Jesus to bind them and to send missiles to them, to destroy the evil works and things like that. But that is what you are saying now. That practice is actually witchcraft. It's like human power against human power.
Yes, yes. Let me give you a
Mm-hmm.
biblical example. Jesus and his disciples were not accepted in a village. And the disciples, animated by the spirit of anger and revenge,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to curse that village. And what Jesus said, you don't know what spirits animates you. For me, he means that you are not animated by the Spirit of God, but by an evil spirit. You are trying to practice witchcraft against them. And that's what the churches are doing. They are practicing witchcraft without knowing it. And some people don't know. They don't know that
Mm-hmm.
what we are doing is witchcraft, that they do it.
My goodness.
I don't recommend people to use that process. It doesn't elevate you, but the use of worry elevates both you and the so-called witch.
Mm. It is. Are you hearing this, people? It's something, eh? Now, Dr. Luluka. So that is to say that the human power, And so the human case is actually driven by emotional reactions. Yes.
Emotional reaction, but also by ignorance and
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah. So you react, but emotional, and you react and you do something. Because many people in church, as they are praying against their enemies, they are emotional. Yeah, something happened in the family, something happened, within the household. They are emotional and they start praying, and cursing the devil, cursing the enemies. Yeah, bomaye, through prayer in the name of Jesus. But what you're saying is witchcraft. You need to pray love and pray a warning to them so that they stop doing what they're doing. And if not, whatever they're doing will be upon themselves and they will be responsible for their own demise.
That is the case. That is the power of love. And that's what I teach.
Yes, and that is elevation. You elevate yourself and you elevate the so-called witch. If they choose to cease the evil practice.
Yes. That is a powerful tool.
Yeah, that's more powerful than what we have been taught in the church Shabbat Reveil. And also, I forgot my thought. I wanted to say something, but it slipped me. So
we must put that distinction. So you see, what we see in the voodoo, the use of witchcraft must be an exceptional case for war, not for retaliation in society. I tell to black people who are in Santeria, Palo Monte, Voodoo, and etc., don't use witchcraft against witchcraft. You are not participating to your spiritual progress. You must use love in order to fight witchcraft. It is more powerful and it elevates you.
Yeah, that's really powerful. It is. It changes our paradigm completely.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, because many people really thought that that's the way to pray against witchcraft. Yes, to come against it. But you said evil through witchcraft are suggestions that they impressed upon you. And by you accepting it, you have, first of all, accepted your own death spiritually, and which will manifest physically. So fighting against witchcraft is also denying those impressions, right?
Those suggestions.
So yes, those suggestions that you say, no, it is not true. It is not like that. Okay? I am created in the image of the Most High. I am complete. I am perfect. As He is, so am I, etc. So that's the way you battle against witchcraft. Deny the negative suggestions and accept and embrace all the positive of the Most High and the Creator and what you want to see as being truthful in your situation. Right? If someone says, for example, you will die by sickness, you say no, because that's witchcraft, right?
Yeah.
Someone said you will die by sickness, but you are healthy now. And as you hear that suggestion, those words of death, it clings into your heart. And when you receive it in your heart, it will manifest as a reality.
And that's bad. You know that verse in the Bible where Apostle Paul said that we reverse reasoning and bring all reasoning back captive to the Christ.
Yes. Yes.
So that's the
All evil
process.
thoughts, right?
Yes.
All
So
evil thoughts.
we reverse evil thinking in order to bring the thinking into the obedience
Hmm.
to the divine.
Exactly. That's amazing. Now, some people will say, Dr. Luyaluka, you're talking about Bukongo and, African religion. Why are you mingling it with the Bible? Don't you know that the Bible is a European book of the colonizers? What would you say to them?
Suppose I'm against you personally, and you are my teacher of mathematics, and I say, no, that guy, I don't like that guy and his mathematics. So it means that I don't like what you teach about the theorem of Pythagoras. Now, if someone comes with the same theorem, I won't accept it because I already rejected that theorem. You see what I mean?
Hmm. I see what you're doing.
When you reject the Bible, you must understand that there are principles in the Bible which belongs to your culture. Once you have rejected those principles, you will not accept them when they will be brought to you again. That is that is so. The Bible was not written out of nothing. No, the Bible was predicated upon principles that were stolen to the black people. So I don't have to reject those principles because they are mine. So
Hmm.
when I say that I don't reject the Bible, what I mean is that I don't reject those principles that were stolen from my ancestors. I have to claim them. I have to say, these are mine. The Bible was predicated upon a science that was known to the Egyptian. And those who copied didn't even were not even aware that they were copying a science. So they distorted the imports of that science. Now we are bringing it back again. I always give an example, Hebrew chapter 12, verse 23. It speaks about the firstborns inscribed in heavens, firstborns in plural. Now the firstborn is a creator. And here the creators are in plural. So we have a scientific truth which was not known by the church because the church was teaching that the Most High is the creator. So there is only one creator. And there we have the scientific truth telling us that there are many universes because there are many creators. And Yiseka'yah, in his book L'antériorité des civilisations nègres, says that the Egyptian was teaching the existence of many universes, that the multiverse, and we have many many creators. So you see, we don't have to reject the whole of the Bible. What we reject is the history, the culture. That is not our culture. That is not our history, and that is not true history. That the divine principles are ours, and we have to claim them and not to reject them. Once you have rejected them, you will not be able to recognize them even if you read the original book in the original scripture in hieroglyph. You will already reject that truth.
Ingeta. I totally agree. Man, most Africans, yeah, they are convinced that they have to burn the Bible, throw it out, and not to read it. But I believe in the revelation that was revealed to me and also revealed to one of our great prophets, yes, Simon Kimbangu, who said, continue to read it. By doing so, you will catch the thief with the object which he stole. So there are secrets in there, that is ours.
Yeah.
We have to claim those fundamental principles.
Yes, of course.
Dr. Luyaluka Matondo Mingi, thank you very much for once again coming on my platform and to discuss with me and with the viewers how to fight witchcraft. Now, for everyone, February 25, it's on a Saturday, we will have a seminar on how to fight witchcraft with Dr. Luyaluka. Dr. Luyaluka will go into the depth of it in the seminar. The registration link will be available very soon, so you can register and be part of this seminar. It will be very good, very powerful. You will learn something and you will be equipped, yes, with the tools and knowledge to know how to shield yourself and how to fight against evil suggestions, which are witchcraft in your life and in your family members, in your business, and maybe your grandchildren if you have them, and deliver yourself from those negative energies. Ingeta. So make sure to be present 25 February 25 with the seminar, How to Fight Witchcraft. Dr. Luyaluka has written numbers of books, I think 15, 15, right?
Yes, 15 of them behind me.
Yes, he has written 15 books. My goodness. How do you write a book every year, the last 15 years?
Yes, almost. I was writing almost a book every year. There are some years, in 2012, I even wrote 4 of them.
Wow. So that's amazing. I wish I had the time, just to do nothing else than research and writing. Most I will it maybe in the near future.
Yeah.
So Dr. Luyaluka has written books. To start, I will say order the book called Bukongo. It's available on Amazon. I will remember to link it in the description box so you can go and just click and order it. And he also has a YouTube channel. Yes. I will also link that in the description box so you can go and subscribe to his YouTube channel. And he's also on
Facebook.
Facebook.
And Melanie and Melanie. Oh, I forgot.
I don't use Facebook, but he's also on Facebook.
Yes.
And he's also on Instagram.
Yes, of course.
And so you can also go there, Instagram and
Melanin People. That is the other platform where I am. I'm also in Melanin People and in IB2B TV.
Ingeta. So to close, Dr. Luyaluka, is there anything you want to say?
I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to our people. I will stress just one last point. Let our people remember that there are 2 practices of African traditional religion. The divine practice, which is based on the commandments of God, on the purification of thoughts, and the human practice. It is very important for us to distinguish those 2 practices because the human practice is what we usually see around us, while the divine is almost hidden. And we must remember that the use of witchcraft in the human practice is an exception just in case of war to protect people. Witchcraft should not be used as a means of retaliation. That is destructive to our civilization. Thank you so much.
Yes, Ingeta. It was a wonderful conversation with Dr. Luyaluka. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe if you are new on the channel, and of course you are free to share this powerful conversation with Dr. Luyaluka. And once again, remember, February 25, we have a seminar entitled How to Fight Witchcraft with Dr. Luyaluka. For now, Matondo for watching, Matondo for being part of this conversation, and I will see you next time. I am Nabi Kefas, and may Congo reign. Ingeta.